Labour unions ignore Tinubu orders, vow to go ahead with nationwide strike. NLC dares AGF over claim against it. Wow. So we saw the news where federal government has said that strike on fuel subsidy removal is not allowed, and has narrated its contempt. It's a legal contempt against the labor union, and also wrote Femi Falana, which is the legal counsel for the labor union, to advise the labor leaders not to go on strike, otherwise to be treated as contempt of court, that everybody must obey court order, as if the government itself obeys court order. Now, the labor union and the labor leaders have also released a counter publication saying that they are ignoring Tinubu and others, and they are vowing to go ahead with nationwide strike, and they dare AGF over their claim against the labor union. So let's dive straight into the detail. Now, hope of the federal government overturning planned strike by Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress dimmed yesterday after the unions shunned a last-minute parley with the government officials on the issues at stake. Labour insisted on proceeding with the strike. It denied the claims by the Attorney General of the Federation and Justice Minister Lateef Fagbemi's son that the planned strike would amount to a violation of a court order. So, counsel to organized labor Femi Falana advised government to reopen negotiations with its clients, while President Bola Tinubu and the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Saad Abubakar, yesterday appealed to Labour to reconsider its position and shelve the planned action in the interest of the masses. Can you imagine? So Tinubu and the Sultan are begging now, while the Attorney General of the Federation is threatening. So who do we take here? They are not serious. Let the strike will start from the courtroom. Let the legal workers, judicial and non-judicial workers, will start the strike. That is it. Because even the judges and the justices and even the Attorney General, their families and their relatives are suffering too. Nobody is exempted. So what are they saying? The federal authorities had called an emergency meeting yesterday with representatives of labor to sort out their differences. The Chief of Staff to the President, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, and Labour and Employment Minister Samuel Lalong were supposed to lead the federal government delegation, only for Labour to stay away. They didn't attend it. That is it. They did not attend that meeting. They stayed away. That is it. Because you can't be calling us at the eve of every meeting to come and intimidate us. No. So Lalong was cited in the Chief of Staff's office in preparation for the meeting up till about 5:30 p.m., while the expected labor leaders were nowhere to be found. Sources close to the office of the Chief of Staff said the meeting had been rescheduled for this weekend. No meeting. So one of the sources said they had to disperse since the NLC and TUC people didn't show up. There must have been a reason, and I believe they would have communicated their reasons to those waiting for them. I learned, though, that the meeting has been rescheduled for something during the weekend, but I don't know when precisely. Labour had accused government of lack of seriousness, saying its planned strike action is on account of current economic downturn. We are not in violation of any court order, NLC says. Reacting yesterday to claims by Fagbemi that Labour would be acting in violation of a subsisting court order if it proceeds with the planned strike, the NLC said there was no such order in existence. President of the NLC, Joe Ajaero, said in a statement that what Fagbemi called a subsisting court order lapsed due to non-diligent prosecution. We are shocked that Mr. Lateef Fagbemi is referring to a restraining order issued on June 5 through motion ex parte, which the Ministry of Justice in a former statement had said lapsed due to non-diligent prosecution, Ajaero said. So which order could Fagbemi be talking about here? We demand to know. We similarly find it necessary to remind Fagbemi that equating a restraining order to a perpetual injunction will do no small damage to our legal judicial system. For once, we find it appropriate to reveal to the world that the court refused to sit during the pendency of the order to take our response to that order. So even though we would not want to be drowned into details here, representatives of the federal government on the National Steering Committee are on record to have said in the villa that their mandate did not extend to subsequent increments after the one of 187 to 537 naira, thus differentiating between the issues for which the order that has since run out of time was issued. So there are two ministerial portfolios whose offices constitutionally do not admit partisanship in the discharge of their duties. These are the Minister of Labor and Employment and then the Minister of Justice. In addition to their regular duties, they are expected to play the umpire role. But here we find a Minister of Justice whose first major outing is not only an open partisan, but has descended into the arena with his robe and wig, losing in the process the umpire status. Now wow. So to gag us, to bind us, to tie us to the pole for life without a chance to hear us out will constitute not just malicious conduct, but grievous injury to our fundamental human rights as enshrined in the 1999 Constitution as amended. We refuse to be gagged. We also want to remind those in power of their own history when they were out of power. We find it pathetic that Mr. Fagbemi strived to operate from the high moral ground by advising labor unions on the need to protect the integrity of courts and observe the sanctity of court orders. Who is causing more injury to the sanctity of the courts? Those seeking to covet a restraining order obtained under the cover of the night to a perpetual injunction, or the victims of his terrorism? Falana to government reopen negotiations with NLC and TUC. But counsel to NLC and TUC, Fagbemi Falana believes the deadlock can still be reversed. He therefore wants the government to reopen negotiations with his clients. Falana, in his response to Fagbemi's claim that the planned nationwide strike would amount to a violation of the subsisting order and a disregard to the dignity and integrity of court, said negotiations between the two parties broke down after government obtained the ex parte order. His words, you will agree with us that since the ex parte order was procured by the federal government at the National Industrial Court on June 5, 2023, negotiations in respect of the subject matter of the proposed strike by the Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress ought to have been concluded. He said why the organized labor are not inclined to join issues with the minister over the alleged disobedience of the court order by the Nigerian workers, they are compelled to advise the federal government to resume negotiations with the Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress in the interest of industrial peace in the country. Tinubu Sultan urged NLC TUC to shell strike. They're not serious. They're really not serious. Okay? They're really not serious. So a lot has been said here, and what we are saying here is that it's the word of NLC TUC against the government. There are a lot of comments here. Somebody said, how do you know that the results that were later uploaded are the same results from the polling unit? Imagine what a professor is saying. How can you be so sure? You see, when some lawyers become partisanly attached to a political party, they tell all sorts of lies or things that are not believable. With due respect to you, sir, this issue is awaiting determination in court. Don't dismiss them because of your attachment to APC. Exactly. Over Sabi, they in Nigeria, they say they Sabi pass their teacher. No due respect at all. His argument holds no water. Wow. Some so-called lawyers have really helped desperate politicians to destroy this country. If Abuja is a state like others, then a case should be made for them to have equal representatives at the National Assembly and should be allowed to have a governor. What the Constitution says is 36 states of the Federation and FCT. So why didn't the court say 37 states of the Federation? Why and FCT? That is the clause. My brother, and is a conjunction, which means it is not a separate condition. So if there is no election in Abuja as a result of insecurity, God forbid, okay, would you now say that there won't be election in Nigeria that will produce a new president? Let's insist on rigging issues. Can you imagine? Abuja is not a state, but must be treated as a state in a presidential context only, not really. So all of this, that is true. Take time and go through it, as I said. So all of these ones, we're talking about labor here, why some have taken it to election matter already. We're not talking about election here. We are actually talking about labor. So labor is ready to embark on their strike. Then nothing stops them. They are challenging them, and why the federal government challenging the labor is also challenging the government. It is an unfortunate situation we're finding ourselves. So what the labor is saying here is that we are not leaving anything to chance. Our job is to protect Nigerians and maintain peace. We are fully prepared to do the needful. I can assure you that there will be no cause for alarm if the strike holds. Can you imagine? Okay, that is who is speaking. That is the police speaking there. It's okay. Let's see what they're going to do. Thank you for listening, and let's have a comment on that.